Mama felt the blisters, betrayed by her continent, knives in her backs, like acupuncture by the Chinese. Uh, that's why I don't really give a about the current presidents because they kept us in the crannies and the crevices. When I was lost, I was told to keep going because you don't have a home, the product of a genocide. I woke up in a dreamland, for my skin is hated, to be a black man. Yeah, it means to be a burden. Like the color of my skin justifies the attacks. A black man faced with constant vigilance. 18, it felt like my skin was my only sin.
What is your connection to East Africa?
My connection to East Africa would be I was born in Tanzania refugee camps. My mom and my dad are originally from Rwanda, and my grandparents are originally from Burundi. So it's like, we're from Burundi to Rwanda to Tanzania to the U.S.
Mm.
Even though I was born in Tanzania, people, I'm considered Burundian because I speak the language of Burundi,
Mm.
and my grandparents are from there.
Okay, all right then. So like Kinyarwanda, Kiswahili, is it
Kinyarwanda.
Kiburundi or what do they call it?
They call it Kirundi, but it's literally just a different, like almost it's not even a different dialect. It's like it's Kinyarwanda, just because they used to be one until they split.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like literally just like almost noticeable difference in how you say certain words.
Okay, all right then. So like, do you still have recollection of your time when you were in Tanzania?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I left when I was 8 years old, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right then. So you say you're born in the refugee camps, and so your parents, I'm guessing they escaped or they left Rwanda during was it 1994? Yep. And so how many years until you came into the picture when they were in Tanzania?
How many years? They escaped. So they escaped 1994. So I want to say a good 5 years because I was born in 1999.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right then. So a long time. Okay. All right then. Let's talk about that a little bit because I've met people who have that refugee experience, but the fact that you were born inside a refugee camp, what does that mean? What does that look like? For those who have no idea or like aren't necessarily able to articulate it. And maybe you didn't even know what that meant until you were able to actually like comprehend what that experience meant for you until you got older. And so like let's talk about that a little bit. If anything you can recall or like what does it mean to be born inside a refugee camp?
What it means to be born inside a refugee camp it's really the way I would categorize it as, it depends what a certain age you are because in the sense of my parents, it's like a freedom. So that's what he represented. Back home, back in Rwanda, my grandpa and grandma and grandpa, they had land, they owned houses, they owned farms. You see what I'm saying? And then to leave all that behind and escape with your family to refugee camps, and where basically it's not the same thing. You're in a whole different country. First off, they know the language. Some people knew the language. Some people knew Swahili, but it's also now you have to start all over. And you don't get the same privileges or access to resources as they did back home. So it just represents lack of freedom, and a lot of what we had to get, food, necessities that we needed, we had to rely on the government, the Tanzanian government, and also just other refugee support groups that would come through and look at the mess that was the refugee camps.
Now, in those camps, I'm not sure if you remember. I know you said you're 8 years old, but is it mixed? Are there like a bunch of people from different countries all in one camp? Is it like one specific country only? Like, how does that work?
In this instance, it was one specific country. I want to say, it was mainly the war breaks out, and a lot of people just start running. So that's literally what it was. And then so yeah, it was literally just like because everybody knew each other in there. So it's like, well, I mean, we all knew each other when we got to the refugee camps. Yeah, but it's in a sense, it was just one country. It was just one country. It was like one certain, I want to say one certain group of people. Because also what happened was when the war was over, the President Kagame came through. He was like, all right, I want everybody all the Rwandan people to go back to Rwanda because the war is over. I have taken over the country. It's my country. What y'all gonna do? So some people went back, and then the ones who didn't want to go back just kept running. And my parents were the people who did not want to go back because they were not Tutsi, they were Hutu. I hate to get into that type of politics, but that's exactly what it was. So the Tutsis who had escaped went back.
Okay. And so as far as like amenities, all that stuff, is it, because we see pictures of people, the commercials here in the United States, but I haven't been to one of myself, but is it just tents? Is there like, are you in a specific area, or like, are there neighborhoods that have been cleared out for people to come and stay there? What's the environment like as far as like, housing, restrooms, food? What is that like?
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. So when the refugee camps were set up, it's like they cleared out a certain part of that country for the refugee camps, and we're pretty much just like closed in. Okay, and as far as housing, there were it wasn't tents. It was more like I don't even know how to describe. It was like metal. Like we had metal. It's like wood and brick, and then metal at the top as a rooftop. And then sometimes when it would rain, the rooftop would just fly off because it was not really like a few nails were holding it down, but that's about it. And food wise, we had to grow our own food. Of course, agriculture is a very big thing in Africa, so a lot of it was just us. We're just the people who, because everybody who, not a lot of people were rich, so everybody who escaped the genocide were farmers. Like the majority of the country were farmers, so we just moved here and just start farming there. So that's where we get the food from. You know what I'm saying? So, and also we would also rely on aid, refugee support group aid to come in. They'll bring a lot of rice, a lot of beans, and but as far as meat was a luxury type of thing. So it's like, well, my mom would like save up enough where we can have meat. You know what I'm saying? So like Christmas we'd have meat, type of thing.
Okay, I got you.
A lot of fufu too.
Fufu, okay.
Yeah, fufu and beans. I will never go back to that though. But I will go. But rice and beans go crazy. But fufu and beans, I'm like, I used to be poor. I still am, but it's way better.
Okay. Fair enough. Now let's jump now to you're in the United States. So you said you're 8 years old when you came here?
Yeah.
Talk about like those first couple of years, like, was there any culture shock? Was there like a huge adjustment? Do you remember like, what was that like first coming here?
Culture shock. Oh man, it was wild. Because in Africa, in the refugee camps, it feels like we could be ourselves because we were around people who look like us, who talk like us. And I come here, I didn't think there was black people here, to be honest, bro, because we ain't had no TV. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like the TV we had, it was like a generator, and they would just play like Indian movies, and also like white movies, like I know Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, those type of movies, like those action movies my dad loved. He used to go crazy for those. Anyways, but when I come here, it's like, whoa, there's black people here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that was a culture. That was a shock to me. I'm like, anyway, there's black people here because I didn't know about the history. I was 8 years old. I didn't know nothing. And also it was like, but the biggest thing for me was my parents telling me that I have to be afraid. It was almost like they were like, you have to be afraid, because they were afraid. So it's like, it's in a sense of like, I remember I couldn't go outside by myself. I couldn't play in the yard by myself. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't go a lot of places by myself. I was 8 years old. I'm like, I remember back home, I used to be out until 3 a.m. on New Year's Eve, banging drummers with the rest of the people who were like older than me, and they were like, and then I would just go back home like dark, and I was like 5, 6. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I used to walk myself to school like 2 miles to my school, but now it's like I couldn't even go outside with that. And then another thing they told me is beware. Oh man, this is gonna sound so not good, but it said to beware of like black people here, because I don't know where the notion came. I don't even know how they got access to that information, but they was told like they're dangerous people. Like black folks are dangerous people. You see what I'm saying? And I didn't know, and I didn't even know how my mom like heard that, but she told me that. She's like, the black people here are not, they're not like us. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't, at the time, I didn't know that years of oppression and racism and being kept at the margin of society would push somebody over the limits. But it wasn't even the society. It was just like the stereotypes they have about black folks here. So that's what it was. And yeah, it was just, I just had to adapt quickly in terms of like, I remember learning English, putting in ASL, and just like studying every day, just like to get my to be able to hold a basic conversation with somebody. But that's needed though. So yeah, but it's like it's one of those things where that was one of the things like welcome to America type of thing when they told me about the black people here, and I didn't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand like why, you know,
Mm-hmm.
why like somebody would say that.
Mm-hmm.
And then what else? I remember being suspended because I brought a knife to school.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It wasn't to harm nobody because I used to make my own knives when I was a kid, and I would bring them to school,
Mm-hmm.
like in Africa, and they didn't care. And like, okay, well, put your knives away, Dennis. I'm like, oh, I bet. And then, but not here. I can't. Yeah, I made my own knives, and I brought them to school, and it was like, you have a knife, that's a weapon. You know what I'm saying? My dad beat my ass that day, bro. He did. He said you can't do that. I'm like, all right.
Okay. All right, then. So now, let's say a few years have passed now in the United States, and now people like you're coming from the United States, but like instead of being Rwanda or instead of being Tanzanian or East African, you're now black. And
Yes.
so like that's a lot of friends who I've met. I had to kind of get them ready to come to the United States and understand that mental shift, how things have to change. It's like yes, you are from this tribe, you speak this language, but once you come to the United States, you just categorize over here as black. So like talk about that a little bit, like having to re-identify or like how you have to change how you look at yourself or just navigate through the United States with that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. If you've thought about that extensively, I'm not sure if you've thought about it or like if you had to learn how to be whatever this thing is called blackness.
Yeah. I definitely had to learn in a sense of. I remember when I first went to. It was primarily black, but it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I literally went to school on the north side.
Mm-hmm.
So Howard Kennedy, that's where I went to school at, elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember, I just had to learn how to fit in. The biggest thing was fashion. I remember like begging my mom to buy me Jordans, and like I told her the price. She was like, "No, like I will not buy you those shoes." But everybody had them, you know what I'm saying? So it was one of those things where I had to learn how to fit in and how to talk. And then I recently found out that there's a language called Ebonics, and I've been using all this time, and I didn't even know. Like me talking right now is like Ebonics, but it's like it's me learning that. It was me learning, how to say certain stuff, how to talk. I would just mimic the kids that were already there, and it was also mainly I want to say shame that I was African. Yeah, so there was always a little disconnect there, even though we're black, even though I'm black, but I know where I'm from. You know what I'm saying? I go home and I change up quick. Yeah. My language, how I talk, my body language. You know what I'm saying? I change that changes. Like as soon as I leave school, I adjust myself. But as soon as I come back to school, I adjust again. See? So it's like for me, that's what it was. I always felt a disconnect for sure. As from the black people here, from the from my African people. So it's like, but also I also feel a little bit of shame on my side, on my end of like being African and not. But recently I had to learn to like just accept, like not accept, but like celebrate. Like, hey, I'm different. Not different, but more like I'm African and I'm proud of that. Like I wouldn't change it. Yeah, I came from shit, but I feel good. Like my journey was cool. Like I wouldn't change a thing. You know what I'm saying? Because they used to make fun of me. They used to be like African booty scratch. I'm like, I didn't even know what that was from until I watched Boys in the Hood, bro. I'm like, oh, that's where they got it from. Okay, so yeah, I saw that shit. That used to give me. I remember somebody called me that we had to fight, bro. Yeah, we tussled. I didn't win. It was bigger than me.
It's all good, man.
Yeah. Good. But no, that's what it was, man. It was just that, you know what I'm saying? When I was out, like I wouldn't even say I'm African. I would just say I'm black. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But then like when you have an accent, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm African. Until when they notice that, then I will say it.
Yeah. I mean, now though, I would notice like in recent years, we'll say the past 2 years, I definitely noticed a shift as far as like how we relate to our brothers and sisters who do have like their roots from the continent. I think that's kind of, because of pop culture, because of
definitely pop culture.
The recent rise and, Black positivity, natural hair, us like merging, different genres of music, like even Afro pop, stuff like that, even with Black Panther, with it, And so I was wondering, like, have you noticed a shift as far as like how you look at yourself now?
I have, and it was
Mhm.
all because of that.
Mhm.
That
Right.
was crazy. Yeah, the fact that you brought up all of those, factors that,
Mhm.
yeah, those did heavily contribute to me
Mhm.
being more positive,
Mhm.
and more self-accepting about my own background, where I'm from,
Mhm.
and the country that I'm from,
Mhm.
and it just me more accepting of uh,
Mhm.
of it all. Especially when Black Panther came out, I was 18,
Mhm.
and I remember just wearing a dashiki. Actually, not even a dashiki, my full-on African clothes that
Mhm.
my
Mhm.
mom had made, and just going to go see all my aunties.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
because it was like, oh, we finally getting representation in the
Mhm.
media type of thing.
Mhm.
Even though Chadwick Boseman is from here, but you
Yeah. Yeah.
just feel I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, wait,
Right.
Wakanda, that's
Mhm.
close to Africa,
Mhm.
even though it's a fictional place.
Mhm. Right. It's in Africa somewhere. Right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's all of that, and
Mhm.
also hearing Burna Boy being played on like
Mhm.
American stations, and
Mhm.
hearing more Afrobeat
Mhm.
grooves and rhythm being incorporated in the
Mhm. Mhm.
in was the mainstream music. Yeah, that helped a
Mhm.
lot. I'm like, okay, so it is cool to be African. Okay, bet.
Mhm.
Why not? Let's
Mhm.
get to
There we go. There
it.
we go. Okay.
Now I talk about it in my music. So, 'cause, what I'm
Mhm.
saying, before I want to do it, I'm like, gotta talk about what they talking about
Mhm.
if I wanna. But now it's like I realize you can't.
Mhm.
If you want to build an audience, you can't do all that.
All right. So now let's get into a little bit about some of the things that you work on. So we know that you're East African. We know a little bit about your refugee story, coming into the United States. Navigating the social expectations of what your identity means, just blackness and being African. But like, what is Manny doing right now?
And what I'm doing right now, if we're gonna be real, I'm currently a rap artist,
Hmm.
all right, and I'm also um, a photographer. So yeah, that's literally what I'm doing
Hmm.
as of right now, man. I left my full time job in the world of tech as a network engineer
Hmm.
to pursue my passions, man.
Hmm.
To just because I'm a creator first and foremost, like,
Hmm.
and I want to do that. That's what I want to do. I just want to create things that I enjoy, that I think can have an impact on somebody. Somebody could be like, "Thank you for creating this for me." When I take a picture of somebody and they're like, "Oh, well, I love these pictures," that bring a smile to my face. I'm like, I
Hmm.
did this. Now they're happy, and I'm like, bet. I just want
Hmm.
to see them smile. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. So going back to your journey as far as a photographer, it's been more or less about a year now.
It was at the end of 2021.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Okay. Very end of 2021, and you really developed. You developed. Like you're trying different things out. You're improvising. You're taking a lot of risks. I see. Talk about that journey, like from the end of 2021 until like where you are right now.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, bet. Yeah, for me, it was just really just saying yes to everything that came my way until I'm trying to find something that I can stick to now. But the journey was, man, because I had been a photographer for a while. I started back in 2018.
Hmm.
But I wasn't posting any of my work. I didn't believe in my work. I was still learning. I had a lot to learn. I was
Hmm.
also a videographer too. So I started posting because I just needed a way. I just want to see if I can even make some little money off of it. I remember my first photo shoot. I got paid like 50 bucks, you know?
Hmm.
And for me, that was huge. And I'm like, I can't believe somebody would pay. At the time, I thought it was a lot of money. So
Hmm.
I went all out.
Hmm.
So I'm like, I can't believe somebody would pay me to offer this
Hmm.
service.
Hmm.
Because at the time I was viewing myself as a hobbyist, which I was. I was in charge and I was just doing stuff,
Hmm.
you know? Uh, so yeah, it was just me trying to get out of my head. The last couple months of 2021 was just me getting out of my head and saying I'm out post, and I'm just gonna go from there. So I would do a shoot, I would post, do a
Hmm.
shoot, post.
Hmm.
Just kept posting and posting,
Hmm.
trying to grow. And if you go all the way back to like my first post, you can see that I've gotten better since then. Yeah, so it's like it was just me
Hmm.
learning and just trying things, just doing things, and not even worrying about it.
Hmm.
I would take on free shoots. I would take on spec projects, and just saying, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it how I want to do it. You don't have to pay me. It's okay. But if when I finish this, you can have it. You can use it however you want to. But I'm gonna post it for the world to see because that's what it was. So yeah, it was a journey for sure. I didn't expect for it to go as far as it did. I don't even know how. but it did. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful for that, man. I don't take it for granted. So hallelujah.
What would you say has been like the biggest challenge, or actually, we'll talk about some of the challenges, like because I've taken a few pictures. Like first of all, taking pictures, being a videographer, it's expensive to get into. I'm pretty sure you have to
Hella
probably build
expensive.
up your tools and all the things you needed, like all your different gadgets and stuff. You probably have to buy some different software to like figure it all out. So putting that all together, is it a heavy investment, or does it take a while to build everything up, or what would you say?
It is. It's definitely a heavy investment. Uh, it is in a sense of like I fell into a trap of like wanting more gear, which I'm trying to fall out of now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more like it's a heavy investment if you let it be.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know some very cool, dope creators who were just creating nothing but just with just a camera. And it's not even a fancy new camera. It's like a mid range. It's not expensive. It's not high end, but
Mm-hmm.
the content is dope. Their
Mm-hmm.
storytelling is dope. Their you know editing and their framing and
Mm-hmm.
all of that is dope. I'm like, dang, you see what I'm saying? So it's like it's expensive if you let it be. Um, for me, I put a lot of money. I, when I finally like tracked how much I've spent overall, and I'm like, oh my god, that's a lot of money, and so yeah, it was. I just got, like, oh, like every time my girl would come out, I'm like, oh, I need that gear, I need that lens, right? So yeah, don't let it get that far, because then you're gonna be in debt with some people at the bank, and then you gotta pay those guys back, and
Mm-hmm.
they love charging interest.
Hey, yep,
Yeah, so
interest.
I would just say don't let it get too expensive, because all you need is a camera. To be honest, a camera and a good lens,
Mm-hmm.
and you will be straight. I swear to you. Because when I created some of my dopest work without all this fancy equipment that I have now. Like I didn't have a lot of stuff that I have now, but yet I was able because like it places you in like a box. So like now it's like there's limitations, and you have to like be creative about how you go about those limitations. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And when you have too much gear, it's like I don't know, you kind of lose that creativity side of things a little bit.
Mm.
So yeah,
Okay, so you learn how to do more with less,
yes.
basically.
Hmm.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so me and you were black, growing up in the United States. There's always this stereotype that taking pictures of black people, is hard, or you can never see them. So I noticed that, you've taken pictures of a lot of different people, but I also noticed that you've taken pictures of those of a richer hue, those who are darker toned. I want to say our sisters from Sudan. I want to say. Um, have you had to learn how to take pictures of people of a darker skin tone? Like, is it harder? Is it more difficult, or does it just take more effort? Or what would you say?
If you've never done it before, it's a little bit of learning curve to it.
Hmm.
But those were my first clients, so I've always, you know what I'm saying. So I had to learn a lot about how to photograph black people. Like that's an art of it itself. So that's the way I approach photography. Was like I noticed that was a lot of people that I was photographing were black folks,
Hmm.
and also Sudanese folks. Shout out to my Sudanese community. To the
Hey.
Sudanese community, feel me? So yeah, so I learned. I started learning. You know what I'm saying? I started learning about how to approach lighting and diffusion and you know what I'm saying, and the right color temperature to to make sure that I captured like the skin correctly,
Mm.
and also even in editing, there's some stuff I had to do, I had to learn, in order to make sure that I captured it the right way, the way
Hmm.
that they would want it.
Hmm.
So yeah, for example, when I'm videographing black folks or photographing them, you have to use a lot of diffusion. Like
Mm.
the more diffusion, the better.
Mm.
And also you also want to use a warmer lights. You know what I'm saying? And also if you can put a black pro mist filter on there,
Hmm.
it's gonna give you that creamy soft look that you can't you will never miss, bro.
Mm.
And so yeah, that was the secret I learned from his name is Morgan Cooper. He was an independent filmmaker for a long time, but then he's directing Bel Air.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's like, and he gave me the secrets and the sauce to like how to photograph black folks, and I've been just using that ever since.
Mm.
So Morgan Cooper, you saved my life, bro.
Yeah, I like how you said that as an art. It's almost like a skill set, like for certain people. But do you think that is something that people have ignored, or like maybe?
Definitely have ignored. I
Okay.
truly feel, because uh, when they come to me, I've noticed that when black people come to me, they will say, we got our pictures taken before, but I just don't like the way that I looked. And it's like I was like, oh, he made me look ashy, or
Mm-hmm.
or he I'm clean, I'm completely blown out. You know what I'm saying? I'm guessing we're trying to make them lighter, but it just ended up all blown out and stuff. I'm okay. So it's like those are the type of things they say to me, you know, before, you know, when they say I want to book with Manny Shoots,
Mm-hmm.
black people. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's like, okay, I know how to go about this.
Mm-hmm.
I know what to do. I got you.
Now, as a creative, you
Yes,
know,
sir.
I'm a creative as well. I
I
try
can
many
see
different,
that, man.
yeah, I'll try many different things. You know,
Keep going. Don't stop.
I'll never. And sometimes it's almost like I overwhelm myself. But I want to know from your own experience as well as like, do you struggle with being too hard on yourself, or like, would you say you never have issues, or are you pretty hard on yourself, or what would you say?
I'd say that I'm pretty hard on myself. And it wasn't until recently that learning, I started learning how to, you know, how to not be. But yes, it's like I obsess over small little minuscule details in my work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's ever good enough. I'm like, I could have done that better. I could have, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and it's also, I also take on a lot of work that I don't think I should be. I should be, you know, stacking out. Work just stacks up, and I'm stressed, and yeah, it's not good. But I would say that I'm pretty hard on myself. But I'm learning how not to be, because uh, you know, it's just not good. It's just not good for my mental health at all.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
that's how I approach burnout. You know.
yeah. I've learned that recently. I've learned how to like gauge my own capacity, what I'm able to take in, what I'm able to handle. And it takes a lot of awareness of like, you know, also like understanding like when you start to get agitated, like that moment that you feel like, okay, this is too much for me, like let me let go, or like let me take a break, or like, you know. So I definitely recommend that just as you're on your journey. Last but not least, I want to talk about for those who might be interested in starting whatever journey, you know, whatever creative, entrepreneurial, you know, journey. What advice, or like what are some things that you would tell them to look out for or to think about before getting into it?
I would say, um, what I see a lot of people do is they talk about uh, they talk about what they want to do. You know, uh, they might, you know, buy the logo if they want to start a business. They might, you know, they get stuck in the planning. They never execute. So I would just say, don't worry about it. So if you're like me and you're a content creator, you know, just get the tool that you need. Don't try to say, oh, I gotta wait till I gotta get that camera. No, it's like if you're starting out, you don't need no fancy stuff. Like these fancy stuff are for people that put in their time and energy. You know what I'm saying? You're starting out, you don't need it. Trust me. Just get whatever you can. If even if it's your phone will, yeah, I know some very cool content creators with just their phones. So get your phone, just go out there and shoot stuff. It's gonna be bad, it's gonna be terrible, but at least you're exercising it. You're exercising your creativity. So just go out there and do it, bro. That's all I can tell you. It's like don't get stuck in a planning, don't get stuck in waiting, saying, I gotta get this equipment, I gotta get that, or I gotta have the perfect story. No, just go out there and create shit. It's gonna be shit, yes, but you need to create bad things. I cannot tell you how many bad photos. If I show you my archive, you will know that I took so many bad photos for years before I even got good. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
So yeah, just go out there and create stuff, man. That's all I can tell you. That's all you need, really.
mm. All right. Now, as far as like your, we'll say tool belt, as far as videography, being a videographer, photographer, content creator, what services do you provide to people that you would like them to know about?
The services I provide people, I would like them to know about is,
Like pictures, weddings, events.
mhm.
I know you've done. Did you do Maha?
Yeah, I did Maha for Culture House.
Yep, you did Maha.
Yeah, I was the videographer for them. Yeah, I'm really proud of that video actually too.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of
Yeah,
my
good
like,
job. Mm-hmm.
I love that video, man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, event recaps for sure, weddings, um, and also just I've been trying to focus more on storytelling in terms of like short documentaries. So if you like, so you know, if you want me to capture a certain portion of your life that you think should be highlighted, don't be afraid to give me a call. You know, we can work some out. Right now, I'm working with Youth for Greater Good, the owner of it, and you know, we trying to get her story out there because she's done so much, but yet nobody really knows her. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, now we're gonna highlight her and highlight her accomplishments
Mm-hmm.
and what she's done. You see what I'm saying? So it's
Mm-hmm.
like So those are the services I provide. For photos, you want me to come out to a family event, birthday parties, or let me know. Weddings, I do weddings. I love doing weddings, man. Wedding shoots are usually fun. They're fun because they pay big. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's
Hmm.
also stressful, but the money usually outweighs the stress.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the best way to contact you? Like either email, social media?
Definitely social media. If you're looking for video or photo services, man, Manny Shoots for my Instagram. Yeah, that's about it. My website is coming soon. About a month from now, I will have everything up and running. So, yeah, let's get to it. Let's get to it. I'm excited, man.
All right. Anything else you want to say? Any words of encouragement or anything else?
Yeah, I do want to say this. Don't just consume. Go out there and create stuff. Create it for you too. Like create it for you. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's the way you should go about it. So yeah.
All right. Anything you want to say in Kinyarwanda or Kiswahili or like in the language?
Uzogire ibintu byose ushaka nyine kugira mu buzima. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That was short. All right, bro. Well, thank you very much for joining. Thank you for taking time out to do this. And yeah, man, I'm excited to see what's next for you.
Same here. Same here.
All
Same
right.
here for you too, man. I'm excited, bro. Like you keep going with this, it's gonna be dope. I can wait to see you like on a big screen. Hopefully, you produce like a documentary film from Netflix, like East Africa type of like
Oh, dang.
focused on that.
Manifest.
That'd be dope.
Yeah.
Like like you find like a very cool person like with a very unique story in East Africa, and you just like go about that. I'll watch it.
Okay. All right. I might take that. All right, then. All right, y'all. Well, appreciate it. This has been another episode of East Africa Speaks. And yeah, see y'all in the next one.
Yes, sir. Peace out.
Peace.